Hello, Taurus. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using Awakened Tarot. There's a website on the back. myryve.com. Feel free to check that out if you're interested. There is, I want to say, there's a creative director, but I didn't see a creator. So, and that's Sally Willems, WILLMS. There's the information for that if you're interested. Okay. Oh yeah, the Oracle cards. My brain just turned off for a second. That was fun. You Are Clairvoyant Oracle Cards by Belinda Grace. Illustrations by Elaine Marzin. Website rockpoolpublishing.com.au. A as an apple, use an umbrella. Alright, let's stay online, brain. Let's stay together. Woo. What do we have for Taurus? Alright, let's see. Before we get too excited. Yeah, you're another one. Virgo had that, and they did well with it. Let's see if you do too. What is that? Okay. Okay. So, overall, I do think this is going to work very well to your liking. Very, very well. I mean, there's some things that have to be worked out. This is making me wonder where we're starting. This is very interesting, because the way this is starting is making me question what's going on here. I think when this situation started out, you were able to keep something, and you were able to nullify a change that you didn't want to happen. So, I know it's the Lover's card, I get that. It could be a romance, it could be, I'm more thinking it feels more monetary or job related, doesn't have to be. It's a general read. This is something that was going to change. You did not want that change. And the wheel was trying to turn, but you were able to stop it, and you grounded it, and things did not change. You got the Wheel of Fortune upside down, which actually, for you in this reading, I actually feel like that went to your benefit. Kind of like you're like, nope, no wheel, no, put the brakes on that wheel, and then take it down the street and give it to somebody else, because I'm not interested. No. When that happened, you realized that there was a balance. You got the High Priestess here. High Priestess? Yep. It was going to have to balance out some other way, and you did what you had to do to make it balance. The situation stayed where you wanted it to, and you did what you needed to do to make that happen. There was a balance to that, though. The High Priestess is kind of like, some of this is good, some of this is not so good. We're going to take it all at once, we're going to mish it all together, and we're going to make it work. This kind of reminds me in this situation, like when you have a parent who is struggling to get their children to get the vitamins that they need to get, so that, maybe they take, some carrots and some peas and mash them up and kind of hide that in the hamburger there. So it's kind of like, if the kids don't know it's in there, if they don't see it but they eat it, it still works. This is kind of how that works. This one kind of is like, well, we mashed it all together. There was some stuff I didn't really want. Majority of it worked out. We just worked it together, and I got the outcome I needed. So it's all good. It's all good. There's really good cards here that I really want to look at, but it's kind of like not yet. So let's do it in proper order, whatever that means. The same situation. There's there's a lot of positive energy coming in. So this is not negative, this is positive, but the way it comes in, I'm kind of feeling like somebody's giving information. I don't like the way I said that. That doesn't make sense. So we're just gonna deal with this one first, because the King of Swords. The King of Swords is kind of like, this is what's going to happen type energy. I don't know if this is somebody telling you what's going to happen or telling you what to do. Could be. Or just kind of like, hey, hey Taurus, you know what? You're over here. The rules say you're supposed to be over here. So you need to move that. Because when I first hear this, I feel like I'm like, what do you mean I'm outside? What do you mean I'm outside the boundaries? Like, what do you mean? I work with boundaries. I am about boundaries. I am a boundary. Like, like no. Like, wait a minute. I pride myself on going by the rules. Like, what do you mean I'm outside the rules? What are you talking about? So it's kind of like this kind of jumps in and it's like, oh, I don't like that. Because I almost feel like somebody's saying that I'm not doing something right, and I'm like, but I make sure I'm doing things right. So what do you mean I'm not doing something right? Something like that. Because the Ace of Wands pops in with it, kind of like, not only is that outside of standard, Taurus, you need to put it back in standard as soon as you can. It's kind of like, I feel like I don't, it's kind of like it's throwing me, kind of like, Taurus is about the rules, though. Taurus prides themselves on doing things correctly. At least the Taurus energy that I know, it's very important that things are done correctly, precisely, and they pride themselves on that. So when somebody jumps in and says, oh, no, you're doing that wrong, and you're like, excuse me? Wait, excuse me? And then they prove to you, like, no, really, look, Taurus, look how, see this? See how this, see the rules? See how this is supposed to go? See what you're doing? And you're like, I feel like this is just kind of like, it's not bad, but at first I don't, it's like, ooh, I don't, it throws you. It might throw you off for a second. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan that it was wrong. I feel like it's not that I want the rules to change for the way I'm doing it. It's not that. It's just kind of like I wanted to know the rules the right way. If I had known them the right way to begin with, it would have been right. And for whatever reason, it's a little skew. It's a little askew, and it's got to be fixed. Okay. So there's like a moment here where I'm kind of like, oh, what? And I have to like realign it in my brain within reason. I feel like this energy coming towards you is also kind of like, all right, that's off. It needs to go where it's supposed to go. But it does seem like it's more in the sense of like, we don't expect you to move it all in 2 days. But, over the next 3 or 4 months, starting from today to this 4-month date here, you have all this time to move it. You should start moving some of it today. As long as it's all done in 4 months, we'll be fine. So I do feel like this energy is kind of working with you. They're trying to help you balance it. They're also kind of like, once they tell you the way it's supposed to be, I do see them leaving you alone. But they will be back when they said they're going to be back. They're also completely expecting when they come back, everything will be where it's supposed to be. It's definitely a moment towards where, like, okay, you have to make movements forward. You have to make changes here. I feel like when I see it and I'm understanding, like, when you understand what has to happen and why, I'm just like, all right, I'm like, I really get this energy with Taurus. Like, you pride yourself on doing things not only correctly, but precisely. Taurus doesn't do it just right. They like do it as right as possible. So it's like, I think of Taurus as like, they want to not only get the 100 on the math test, they want to get the extra credit too if there's extra credit. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think of Taurus as like, if you get a 90 on a math quiz or on a math test, I feel like it'll bother you that whatever you missed. You're like, well, what did I miss and why is it wrong? Maybe that's how I take Taurus. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it's kind of like, wait, what was wrong and why? Especially if it's something that means something to you. And this is something that means something to you. So, like, for example, let's add a little bit of more flavor into that analogy. If you're like, I need to know this math so I can help other people, and the better I know that math, the better the outcome is, that's when Taurus is going to be like, well, 90 isn't good enough. I need the 100, and if there's extra credit, I need that too, because the better I know it, the better the outcome, and I'm got long-term plans here. So I need the best outcome to get the best result. I'm getting that energy with this, so I wouldn't say everything in life you do that with. Maybe you do. I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments if it's necessary. But with this situation, I very easily feel that energy. Like, I need it to be right. And when I understand that it's wrong and why it's wrong, it's like, all right, then it has to start, then we have to. I feel like I'm in that, I get right into that boat. Like, it's not about liking it, it's about it needs to be correct. There is a little bit of an energy that's lingering here that I'm not happy that it was wrong for X amount of time. I feel like that's more, when I see the Four of Cups, it's kind of like it's going to go better. Things are going to be more where they should be. The Strength is kind of like I'm moving forward because I need to, and I'm doing what I need to do. The fourth cup here that's I'm not really happy with is more like the X amount of time that I've been doing it out of standard. And it bothers me. And I'm kind of like, are there other things that are screwed up? What else isn't right? I start second guessing myself. I start wanting to check other things. I don't feel like I have the time to really look into these things as much as I want to, but like I feel like I'm checking. I'm like, I want to double check this. I want to double check that because I'm like, well, what else is thrown off because of that? Can we get a little bit more clarity before I show that? Because I know that there's somebody here helping. Logan, don't do that. Hey, no, don't play with wires, bud. No, come on, stop. There is some help here for you. Four of Pentacles, half in, half out. Judgment in your favor. I know it says psychic conversations, but I feel like there's things coming in. There's people helping. There's things going better than expected. Allowing other people to help you out. When people help you, I feel like I want to give the impression like, thank you for helping me, and also if you could just give me references with how you found what you found so I can build more things from it. Something like that. So if people are like, well, we're going to check out the rules to see if this rule is right or that rule is right, great, thank you. And when you do that, if you could also give me the reference of how you found it, where you found it, just so later when I want to find more information, I know where to get it. Or if I need to update the information or I need to go back and check it again, I know where to go. Give them that impression, thank you for what they're doing, but also if you could also give me references so I could search back later and find more information if I want to. Something like that, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of help, a lot of positive energy coming your way. I don't think they're going to naturally give you the foundation of where they got what, but if you get that right in the beginning, like you say it, like you have to say it. They're not going to give it to you. Because there's going to be a lot going on. I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like if you say it, tell me where you got it from. Or like, please make reference to where you got it from. Otherwise, it's not going to show up. And I don't know, but for some reason, I don't see you saying it. I don't know why. But what I'm getting is this, at this point of the game, this point of the situation, if you will, maybe that's a better way to put it, I get the Ace of Pentacles showing up with the Ten of Cups. Something with this situation, I don't think you realized how good it could be. And I think you're going to see positive things coming forward that you didn't think were possible for this situation. I'm noticing the way I have like the Ace of Pentacles at the end of the rainbow here, I'm noticing. So it's almost like you have a lot more gifts that can come out of this situation than you realized. If you have these references to go back and check on other things, I feel like you're going to find things and you're going to be like, oh. It's almost like I'm looking back at like people are telling me what's out of line, what needs to go in line. They're not telling you other things like, oh, let's see. Taurus is doing that too, but that's within standard enough. We're just going to leave that alone. You'll go back later, look at these same rules and go, wait, that's not as much, it's not on point as much as I would like it to. You'll recognize that, okay, they didn't say anything because it's like maybe I have a 5 feet leeway. I want to be dead center on this 5 feet. But I'm just enough inside to where it's okay. And you're looking at this, you're like, well, okay is not good enough. How do I get it where it needs to be? You're going to find things are going to be much better. You get a lot better outcome. This is showing up. Can we get a little bit more on that? there's a lot of people involved. The more you get into it, the more people are involved. People jumping in and out. Eight of Wands, people jumping in and out. I think that's why it's uncomfortable. And then the Empress card, half in, half out. You have people jumping in and out, and people touching base with you here and there on this same situation. The more you're able to look back and start researching things and find out these little nuances that people don't seem to call you out on, the better it seems to be for you. Because I feel like this major thing is like somebody's like, hey, Taurus, this is out of standard. You're over here. You're supposed to be here. All right, that rocks things up a little bit. That's one thing, but you start moving it where it needs to go. Other people doing the research for you and saying, oh, no, this is okay and that's okay. But then they're giving you references about where they found the information. That's good. So you don't worry about it right now. But when you go back yourself and you double check this stuff, and you're like, it's good enough, but then when you're looking at it, it's like, well, not for Taurus standards. It's like, it's good enough, but you're like, well, not for my standards. So how do I get it where it needs to be? There's something like, I see you becoming a point of reference for this situation, because it's very important that this is done to the best that you can do it. And you want to know, at the very least, what it's supposed to be versus it's okay. This is going to start a whole new level of this situation where I keep getting you refining it and refining it and refining it. You're very bonded to this situation, and this is a situation that's not going anywhere. I feel like this is the same situation that at one point it looked like it was going to slip away, but you saved it. It didn't slip away. You're keeping it. You're planning to keep it for a long time. So now that you're going to keep it for a long time and you've like found out, okay, that was out of standard, I had to fix it. What else is out of standard, or what else could go better? You just keep refining it and refining it and refining it, and it just keeps getting better and better and better and better. The more you improve it, the happier you get with it. I just feel like I keep getting this level of joy out of this situation that I didn't really think was a thing. I didn't realize that was even a thing, let alone a possibility. It's kind of like, it's like having this property, not even realizing that there's a bunch of fruit trees on this property. And it's like, once I discover there's fruit trees, I start taking care of them. They start producing more, and then there's a whole bunch of things I can do with that. Whole bunch of things. It's like that type of thing. Like, I didn't even realize that was a thing. I wasn't even thinking about fruit trees, let alone that they were there. And then when I figured out they were there, then I made things happen with it. Like that type of thing. So if you're coming to the situation and you're already at this point where you're like, oh, things are out of standard, I didn't know they were out of standard, and then maybe that's not making you happy. I feel like this reading is supposed to be a vote of confidence saying, okay, you're not happy right now, but it's worth it, because you're not only going to fix what you're not happy about, you're going to go way beyond this situation than you ever even realized was possible. This is going to produce some benefits that you didn't even think was an option. So just hold on, keep going, and as you keep going, you're going to get more and more happy with this situation than you ever thought you could be. Are we good? All right. I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.